Hello again, it's Abaddon Sentinel here, and I'm coming to you with the second of my videos on contrast paint. Now, it's taken me a bit longer than I anticipated to upload this one, due to a few technical issues, we'll call them, with my PC, which are hopefully all sorted now. It's at least letting me get back to editing my videos, so I should start uploading regularly again. So apologies if you've been waiting for this second one, but I'll crack right on with it. Today we're comparing two Black Legion miniatures, one painted with Wraithbone and the other with Gracia as the base coats. Let's get to it. So you may well remember this guy on the left here. He's the one based in Wraithbone, and he was featured in the first video I did about the contrast paints. This guy here is based with Gracia. Now, I've done these both in exactly the same colour scheme, using exactly the same colours, just so that we can actually compare how the different primers interact with the contrast paints themselves. So, what we can see here, the Wraithbone base coat compared to the Gracia base coat. The main difference that seems to be with the Black Templar is whether or not it's more of a weathered effect or a bit more just kind of like a gradual aged effect. So on the Wraithbone, I feel like, especially, you can see it a bit more down towards the feet, that it gives it, you know, almost kind of a bit of it's a bit dirty. Almost like there's mud and things on his feet, that kind of thing. And you get that effect of a lot of the armour when you compare it to the Gracia. Now, the Gracia looks much more muted in tone. The Black Templar on the top of that does actually look kind of grey. Now, obviously, I'm still getting the same kind of effect that I had with the Wraithbone, in that the Black Templar doesn't feel particularly black. It still looks a bit too grey to me. You know, maybe that just requires a second coat, because as with the first miniature on the left, this one was also done just single coats of each of the contrast paint. As for the guns, done with Basilicanum Grey. Now, I do feel like the Wraithbone actually gives slightly more of a general non-metallic metal look for the bolter. That's not to say that the one with the Gracia isn't as effective itself. I just feel like the one on the left looks a bit more like an actual non-metallic metal. The one on the right looks a bit too just flat grey to me. Now, when I say flat, obviously I don't mean that it's got no shading. There's obviously shading on there, but it doesn't look like there's as much sheen to it like you'd expect from metal. Now, obviously you might disagree with that. You can quite happily tell me that you disagree with that if you feel that there's more of a metallic effect from the Gracia base coat. Then, you know, by all means, comment down below and tell me. But my own initial judgment, I would say that the one on the left is a bit more of a non-metallic metal effect. As for the yellows, now obviously it's supposed to be gold on a Black Templar miniature. Obviously there are no metallics in the contrast range, so I've chosen the Nazreg yellow for these two, simply because it's the darker of the main two yellows that they've got on sale at the moment, and I figured that would probably give me like a slightly better non-metallic metal effect in comparison to the other yellow, just because of the deeper tones when it's in the thicker areas. Now, I have to say, I think as a non-metallic metal effect, it's probably best on the Wraithbone. Now, I think I have applied it a bit thicker on the Gracia, unfortunately. I wasn't intending to do that. I meant to keep them roughly the same. But it's not an exact science, really, at the moment, putting on the contrast paint. It's quite difficult, like I said in the last video, to control it entirely. And I have tried using slightly finer brushes, not globbing it on quite as much, globbing it on a bit more, just to try and figure out what the best way to apply it is. So certain parts, say this shoulder, it's just made it a little bit too brown on this one on the right. It's not necessarily bad, but it doesn't quite give the same effect of what I was looking for. I have to admit as well, just putting a single coat on, this skull here, not particularly happy with. It's not really picked out detail, it's just kind of messed it up a bit, to be honest. I feel like I have to go back over that with highlights to make it look anything remotely acceptable. Layering it in, putting some extra definition around the edges and stuff. So I have to say contrast failed me a little bit there. But other than that, I'd say it's still along the same lines as the original one that I did. As for the flesh tearers red, you can see here, I feel like it's got the warmer tones they were talking about on the Wraithbone here, compared to the Gracie. Now, I'm not sure whether or not that's, again, to do with me accidentally applying it differently, if that's what happened, but generally, I do see those warmer tones, and on the right-hand side with the Gracie, it just looks to be a little bit more... what's the word I'm looking for? It just looks a bit deeper, a little bit less worn, I would say, as well. The Wraithbone kind of gives it quite a nice highlighting effect to say that it's been used a bit more. Like the Gracie seems to have a newer feel to it than the Wraithbone. It just kind of looks a bit more like it's been used a bit. Gracie, it makes it look quite clean and crisp, which for Chaos Marines, isn't necessarily the best thing. Chaos Marines generally end up looking a bit gritty and dirty. It's just the nature of them. But you can't be helped. That's what the experimentation's for. We'll be experimenting more with the other two models I previewed in the last video. They're going to be done as World Eaters, and I'm going to try a couple of different things with them, which hopefully you'll find interesting to see. So they're still waiting for the extra base coats to go on to block out the trim on those. So hopefully they'll be done in the next couple of days. I'll be able to get that video to you. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed that. Remember to like this video if you did. Comment down below if you've got any other suggestions and comments you'd like to make. And if you want to see more, hit that subscribe button to get notifications. See you later.